In today's climate, nothing will make you a more accurate or confident shooter than Crimson Trace laser sighting systems. Get the immediate, decisive advantage of the world's only grip-integrated laser sights today. Shoot better. Stay safer. Crimson Trace.
Today on Tom Gresham's Gun Talk. It's straight from the headlines. A restaurant robbed at gunpoint. How the owner responds. Also, avoiding situations before they become a problem. SIG accessories and gear available to members only, plus your range reports. A Washington Times opinion page regular contributor. Call Tom now at 866-825-5486. Now, here's Tom.
Oh, my goodness. Yes. Well, happy late Halloween. Oh, yeah, I'm doing the show in costume today, but it's radio, so you have to take my word for it. Hey, I'm Tom Gresham. It's Gun Talk. We're going to be talking about guns and shooting and ammo and scopes and gun politics, of course, and what's going on in the news. And we'll actually be taking your range reports, what you've been going out and shooting, what you've seen at the range. If you'd like to send me one, just shoot me an email, tom@guntalk.com. You also can join me over at Twitter. I'm at Gun Talk. A lot of ways to get a hold of us, but, the easiest way and the most fun way is just call us. The number is 866-825-5486 or 1-TOM-TALK-GUN. That will certainly get you in there. Oh, we got a new station alert for Gun Talk. Keeps growing. 215, I think, now. WBQO 93.7 FM, St. Simons Island, Brunswick, Georgia, the new 93.1. Hey, thank you guys. We appreciate it. And believe me, I'm sending you all this rain that's soaking us down here in the big sleazy area. Man, speaking of which, I spent the whole week in New Orleans at the NASGW show, the National Association of Sporting Goods Wholesalers. Kind of like the SHOT Show, but instead of gun makers and manufacturers showing their wares to dealers, at this show they show them to distributors. These are the middlemen who a lot of gun companies sell only to distributors, and then the distributors sell the guns to dealers. So it's an early look at what's coming out, the new things, a lot of which we can talk about, some we can't talk about quite yet. They'll let us know when we can. We have to honor those. If they ask you to do that, that's what you do. You keep your word on that. But there are some really cool things going on. How about little bitty, what were those things, like 1 3/4 inch long shotgun shells? Very cool, very interesting. How many of those do you think you can get in your extended mag home defense shotgun? Yeah, fun stuff. A lot of things going on we're going to be talking about. Of course, the Gundealio app just keeps rocking along. If you don't have it, you need to download it. Just go to, let's see, on iPhones, it's the App Store. On Androids, I guess that's Google Play. Is that where you go? I don't have an Android. Anyway, the Gundealio is free. You can pick it up for your smartphone. A lot of things cooking there. Guns and Gear, TV shows, Stag Arms. We've got the Mossberg's Patriot Rifle all airing this week and on Gun Talk TV. We're actually showing a couple of the episodes from our very cool First Person Defender series. That's where we take regular people and throw them into self-defense situations, muggings, ATM robberies, restaurant robberies, and see how they do. Speaking of restaurant robberies, well, here's a story. A restaurant gets robbed, and the owner takes a course of action that surprises a lot of people. Tell you what, let's just bring him in right now. Art Bouvier is the proprietor, owner of Papa Roux Po' Boys, and Cajun Eats in Indianapolis. Hey, Art, how are you?
I'm doing great. Do want to correct one thing. Your lead-in said that we were robbed at gunpoint. And the only distinction is a gun was involved, but it was not brandished. So I do want to clear that.
Okay, so you were robbed, but they didn't brandish the gun. Did they have a gun?
I believe that they did. Obviously, if you brandish it, the penalties are stiffer if you get caught. So, the first approach is to not brandish it for them, I'm sure.
Sure. Okay. So your response is probably not what a lot of people think. You put up a sign that says, hey, if you got a carry permit, come on in and get 25% off. Did people have to have a gun or just the permit to get the discount?
Yeah, I don't care about the gun. I actually it's more of I want the mental propaganda against the criminal element. I want them knowing what kind of customers are in our store. I want them guessing. So I'm rewarding the carry license, not the carry.
Right, exactly. Now, let me ask you, you got a Cajun restaurant up in Indianapolis, and I'm down here on the North Shore, just out of New Orleans. Where are you from anyway?
Yeah, I'm from New Orleans. I'm a little bit jealous because we're raining up here, and you're raining down there. And if I can't get on my motorcycle, I'd at least like to be back home.
Well, I was hitting all the good points last week when we were in there for this trade show. So we went out and ate some good food. It was funny. And you know what I'm talking about. People kept saying, well, everything's good here. Every meal I have here is good. I said, here's the deal. In New Orleans, if it's not good, they go out of business. It's because the competition's that tough, right?
Yep. Had to get up north before I even knew what a Red Lobster was.
Okay. So no, I understand. All right. Tell people what the name of your store is.
Okay, so it's Papa Roux. We're in Indianapolis, and right now we are packed to the gills. A lot of times, standing room only, and customers are just loving it, happy to be there, thrilled for the community response. The community is really coming together over this.
Now, what's interesting, I'm reading the stories about this. You put this word out, and you say, okay, we're going to give a discount for people who have a carry permit, and the newspaper comes in, they're interviewing people in the store, and what I'm seeing at least in the story, I'd like to get your confirmation of this, is even people who are not carrying or don't have guns, they're saying, hey, we came here because we like it. It makes us feel safer.
That's my understanding as well. I guess when it comes down to it, if you have to make the choice between the unstable, unlicensed guy with a gun in the line saying he's threatening you, versus the stable and legal licensed carriers in the dining room, it doesn't take a genius.
So what kind of pushback have you had on this?
I've had a few detractors. I mean, it's almost laughable how few detractors. I've had about 10 people contact me online saying they will never, give me their business. And these 10 people, I'm like, who are you? You live in Maine. Do I care that you're going to continue to not give me your business?
Right, never had it in the first place.
Yeah, Ann Delaney, the Democrat leader here, or former anyway, said that she won't support me. I'm like, and you've never been in. And then I've had 2 regular customers that have contacted me privately and said that no hard feelings, but they're not comfortable coming in anymore. It's like, hey, that is your choice. I respect your choice. And then to counteract that, I ran through my point of sales and my just our social media records and everything. We have had 510 new physical customers on the floor in the past week.
Holy cow. Well, I just got a note on my call screener here, my computer screen at Jim. Let's see. Oh, is that Jim? Yeah, Jim says he's going to be there. This is Jim, our producer, says he and his wife are going to be there in a couple of weeks. They're going to come by and check out your restaurant. So there'll be 2 more coming that way from Toledo, Ohio.
That's fantastic. Thank you, Jim.
So, all right, here's the question. Are you going to keep up the discount? How long is this good for? I mean, 25% is a huge discount. The margins aren't that big in restaurants.
Well, yeah, it's a hefty discount. I've actually had quite a few people come in with their license and say, I'm here to support you. I don't want your discount. So that's great. If past performance is any indicator, eventually this will be that even the people that could take advantage of the discount choose to not, because really the community doesn't want to see me go out of business. And based on my records in the point of sale system, this is complicated but important. The business trend generally is increasing sales by about 10% per day, but the number of carry licenses has dropped dropped by a total of 75% over the week. The first day we did 110 carry license discounts, and on the last day we did 27 carry license discounts. So sales are increasing, redemption of the discount is decreasing.
What that tells me is that you have people who are coming there because of the discount, but not to take the discount. They like what you're doing, even if they're not carrying or they're not presenting their permit.
Tom, that's what it tells me.
That is outstanding. Well, I congratulate. I guess the other question is, the obvious one is, have you been robbed since then?
Oh, heavens no. And that's actually very, very important. Even today, there's reports of a situation in Chicago where an armed citizen fatally shot an armed robber who was holding, pointing a gun at someone trying to get money. And I don't want that situation in my store. But guess what? I am confident I'm not going to have that situation in my store, because who's going to mess with this?
Well, yeah, I mean, what numbskull, I mean, even though a lot of the bad guys are knuckleheads, they're not that much of a knucklehead. They are survivalists of a sort. They're not going to go to a place where they know there are likely to be people, more than one person, who has a gun. It just, there are better places to go. And ultimately, as we know, you go to other places. And if we can send them to some other place, hey, they should have had their guns and their armed people there too.
And to be very clear, Tom, unfortunately, there have been 3 incidents just since I started this on Monday, 3 major armed robberies of bars and restaurants in my immediate area within a 5-mile radius. 2 of the places are places owned by good friends. And unfortunately, I do believe that they are going elsewhere. How great would it be if there was not an elsewhere to go because everybody followed suit?
Perfect. Tell you what, Art, when I get up there, I'm going to come by there and have some of that good Cajun food you got, okay?
Tom, thanks so much for having me on. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. You take care. Man, that's doing it the right way, isn't it? All right, we're open lines for you. 866-TALK-GUN, or dial 1-TOM-TALK-GUN. That's actually the easiest way. What have you been shooting? What are you wanting to buy? And, I may have a lead on a new Gun Talk gun.
In the war on terror, fighting crime in the streets, in competition and homes around the world, one name in firearms stands out: Sig Sauer. Our pistols and rifles are renowned for their unfailing performance. This same commitment to excellence can be found in our line of SigTac accessories and the training offered by the Sig Sauer Academy. For unmatched quality, reliability, and innovation when it counts, choose Sig Sauer. Visit sigsauer.com today.
Are you looking for a place to shoot? The National Shooting Sports Foundation has a great website called wheretoshoot.org. It's the largest database of shooting ranges on the internet. It's also a great resource for shooters where you can find video tips, printable targets, and a lot more. Find it online at wheretoshoot.org. And while you're there, download their free iPhone app. That's wheretoshoot.org.
When it's all on the line, you can count on Trijicon Optics. Earning its reputation in combat and on hunts in all corners of the world, Trijicon comes through. The new AccuPower rifle scopes feature battery-powered illuminated reticles, variable power, adjustable brightness, plus they're waterproof. The years of waiting, the dollars spent, your hunt of a lifetime comes down to a single moment. Get Trijicon quality. Trijicon.com. Trijicon.com.
Hi, this is Tom Gresham from Gun Talk. America is losing critical wildlife habitat at a rate of 1 football field every hour. It's happening on the Louisiana coast, but it's critical to all sportsmen and conservationists. These precious wetlands provide winter habitat for more than 10 million ducks and geese annually, waterfowl that migrate north through dozens of states. Don't shrug it off. Get involved. You can help. Visit vanishingparadise.org.
It's time for the Brownells Trivia Question. Brownells, serious about firearms since 1939. Are you a gun know-it-all? Well, you may have a chance to win the Brownells GUNTALK FN SCAR 17S Dream Gun and a trip to the NRA show in Louisville, Kentucky, May 19th through the 22nd. Here we go. What rifle, developed at the onset of the Civil War, featured dual hammers and used a special projectile that fired 2 shots from a single-barreled musket? Hall, Maynard, or Lindsay? To answer and have a chance to win, go to brownells.com/guntalk. That's brownells.com/guntalk. When it comes to firearms, Brownells has more, knows more, and does more, and guarantees it all forever. Brownells is serious about firearms.
Well, because I spend way too much time sitting around twiddling my thumbs and don't really have that much to do. I don't know. I tell people I suffer from freelancer's disease. You know, I started life as a freelancer, and you're just trying to get work any way you can. And just you're standing by the mailbox and you're waiting for a check, or more than likely it's a rejection letter, trying to sell articles to magazines. And you get to the point where you will never, ever say no. If somebody says, can you do this? The answer is simply yes, because I need the money. So once permanently ingrained in there, it's just there. So I have freelancer's disease. So I have a new gig. Started this past week. I am now writing a bi-weekly, semi-weekly, every other week. That's the way. Every other week, at least to start off, an opinion column in the Washington Times newspaper. Now, that's not the Washington Post. The Times is the conservative one. Surprise, surprise. And I think, if I remember right, they have roughly somewhere over 100,000 circulation in their print edition and maybe 4 million people on their online edition. You could go check it out. I did put out a tweet about that and put it on our Facebook, so you can find the article that I did last week, which was about the web giants and how they squash commerce when it comes to firearms. Google, Twitter, PayPal, Facebook. If you sell guns, can't do it on those services. Well, that's like a store that suddenly has its signs taken down and a big barrier put up so that the people from the superhighway in front of the store can't see it, because those are the superhighways of the web. So I'll be doing that, and then looking for, there are plenty of things to write about, plenty of things we can talk about. One of them I'm working on right now is the whole idea of simply the lies that are necessary. These are very necessary lies if you're going to push gun control. You have to lie about guns. You have to lie about crime. You have to lie about what laws are in place now. You have to mislead people to think that there are few, if any, gun control laws now. You have to mislead people and use terms like epidemic of gun violence when it's down by 50%. Just one of the many topics we'll be talking about, I'll be writing about. So anyway, that'll be in the Washington Times. This is going to be fun. It's you know what? It's another no shrug opportunity. It's the True Squad in action. And all of you members of the True Squad, people who signed up to say, I'm simply not going to shrug anymore and just say that's just the way it is. I'm going to call them every time they lie. I'm going to write the editors. I'm going to call the editors. I'm going to contact my local news station, my local newspaper. Every time somebody lies about this, I'm going to call them on it. And I'll tell you, I get reports all the time of people who do that, and it is effective. It works. They change a story online. They change their coverage. Sometimes it's because they didn't know. Sometimes it's because they knew and they got caught. Doesn't matter why, as long as you're effective at it. And the only way you're effective is to speak up. So this is going to be fun. Let's go to line 3. Janet's with us out of Ashland, Oregon. Hello, Janet. How you doing?
Just fine, Tom.
Good.
Pardon?
Go ahead.
Yeah, what I wanted to comment on, this something really has been sticking in my craw since I went to a service at the Eagle Point National Cemetery last Friday. Once you get inside the entrance to this locale where you have servicemen, servicewomen who have fought for our country, died for our country, for our rights, and there's a big sign, no weapons allowed.
That's from the Department of Veterans, federal property.
Well, yes, I know. It's just, and I imagine it's countrywide, and it's very unfortunate, and it just, let's say it really ticked me off.
It's let me go further. It's despicable.
Yeah.
To have your government, which is our government, which is the government that we provide, the jobs that we provide these people, to turn around and say, okay, this is your land, but we're going to tell you you can't carry guns on it. You can't protect yourself here. If you had a gun on you when you got here, you have to go back and stash it somewhere. You can't actually exercise your constitutional rights on federal property, on consecrated ground where our warriors are buried.
Yes.
That's despicable.
Yes.
I'm with you all the way, Janet.
Pardon?
I'm with you on this one. The only way we get something like this changed, frankly, is we got to change who sits in the Oval Office, because nothing's going to change while Obama is there, and it would only get worse if Hillary Clinton were sitting there. And I am worried about this one, because I'm not seeing on the Republican side what I would like to be seeing. And thank you for the call. Just this morning, I see another story. Ben Carson says, well, yes, of course, we should not prohibit research on what causes gun violence. Sounds good on the face of it. Research is good. Knowledge is good. Information is good. How could we possibly have a good course of action if we don't know, if we hide the information, except that he's either been tricked or he is just as ignorant as I think he truly is. The reason that the CDC's funding got stripped from their so-called gun research is when the head of the CDC said, our goal is to stamp out guns. We are doing our research, with big quotes around research, with a goal of getting rid of guns. We want to make them like cigarettes. We want to make them banned, is what he said. And Congress said, no. We provide the funding so that you can research disease and health issues, not so that you can lobby for gun control. So they just removed that part of their budget and said, no. You can't use health dollars that we provide you to push gun control. I am saddened, but unfortunately not surprised that Ben Carson has been duped on this. Who do we have in that Republican lineup who's going to be good for us? Be right back.
You're listening to Gun Talk, now on more than 200 great radio stations. Now, here's Tom.
I love it. The folks at Crimson Trace put out a tweet, says, did you set your Glocks back? Oh, gosh. President Obama speaks to police chiefs. Basically, his message is crack down on you and me. Crack down on legal gun owners. The willingness of this man to lie knows no bounds. He says it's easier in some communities to buy a gun than a book. It's easier to find a gun than to find fresh vegetables. If he's talking about doing it legally, which would be you and me, and the media, of course, swallows this. The media gobbles it up. The media doesn't even ask a question. They just don't question him at all. There's no critical thinking. There's no suspicion. Does anybody ever ask him, wait a minute, I thought when you buy a gun, when you go to a gun store, don't you have to fill out this piece of paper? And don't you have to show ID? And don't you have to ask the Federal Bureau of Investigation if you can buy that gun? Because that's what I understood the law to be. Every single person who goes to a gun store has to get the okay of the FBI. I to buy the gun? I swear, the last time I went to Borders Books, they did not call the FBI before I could buy a book. I swear I don't remember that. They did not even ask me for my ID. Huh. Isn't that something? Perhaps the president may be overstating slightly. It's the great gun control con. You have to lie about gun control to get people to believe in it. You have to lie about it at every turn. You have to tell people that crime is going up when in fact it's going down. You have to tell them that mass shootings are going up when in fact that's not the case. You have to convince them that there are no background checks when of course there are. You have to tell people that there are essentially no gun control laws when of course there are thousands. And then you have to get the media to buy in on this and have them keep repeating these lies over and over again. You have to have people like CNN, when they're talking about semi-automatic rifles, show video of full automatic rifles. You have to have John Zarella at CNN, when he's talking about how powerful, quote-unquote, assault weapons are. Take two different .223 rifles. The first one, the one that's going to be banned, shoot it at a cinder block and just tears it up. And the second one, they shoot it at the cinder block, and you can't see any hits at all. Absolutely does no damage to the cinder block, the same .223 bullet. Gee, I wonder what happened there. Well, it turns out they didn't shoot the cinder block at all, but they convinced the viewers that the banned weapon was super powerful, and the one that's not banned, shooting the exact same cartridge and the exact same bullet, wouldn't even scratch a cinder block. John Zarella, CNN. They have to lie to convince people to back gun control. Wow. Amazing, isn't it? Let's see here. Oliver's on line 2, calling out of Seattle, Washington. Oliver, thank you for your patience. What's up?
Yeah, well, I was shooting my Colt Cobra this week, and it's about 40 years old, and I couldn't get back on target, realized the front sight had popped clean off mid-shooting.
I had a friend who the same thing happened to him. He was shooting, and he's, in his 50s, 60s like me, and he says to the guy next to him, says, "Man, I can't even see my front sight." And the guy says, "It's between your feet."
Yeah. Yeah, mine ended up, it went behind me, took a right, and landed 2 bays down.
Yeah. Okay, so now what?
Well, now I just wondered, is there a good way to reattach that thing?
Well, I'm not a gunsmith, so I probably, J.B. Well would probably work. That's pretty darn good stuff. I mean, of course, the key is going to be getting it to line up exactly where it was and make sure it's sighted in. If you want it done right, you probably take it to a gunsmith, but if you want to try a do-it-yourself, you can always try a J.B. Well and see what happens.
Okay, yeah. I guess couldn't hurt. All right, well, appreciate
couldn't hurt.
Thank you.
All right, good luck with it. But I understand. So I can't see my front sight. It's not your eyes, dude. This front sight came off. It's down there between your feet. Line 1, Robert's with us out of Arkansas. Hey, Robert, what's cooking?
Hey, I just have one quick question.
Sure.
Pulling off the road here. I just bought the first weapon that I've actually owned for my family, and it's a revolver, a Ruger 357 Security 6. And my question is, I just bought this for home security, and obviously I should have done this first, but I'm looking for a safe option, or what is the best way to store the weapon where it can be safe, but at the same time readily accessible.
Sure. There are several different companies. Liberty Safe is one of our sponsors, and they make a real good one. I have one that makes small gun safes. They're, basically big enough to hold a revolver. And some of them work off of biometrics where they actually read your fingerprints. Some of them work off of little buttons. You push a certain code in. And some of them are simply key operated. You put a key in and turn it. So you could keep your gun in there. And it would be, do you have small kids?
I don't have small kids, but I have a lot of youth over at the house at different times. So my kids are just about grown. But, that's the thing. I need to definitely keep it secure. But I want my kids, they're old enough that I want them to be trained and everything and be able to have access to the safe if need be. So the biometric, would that be able to handle multiple fingerprints?
Yes, it actually can handle multiple fingerprints, or you could go with a system where there's a keypad where you have 4 keys and everybody knows the code to get in. And, I applaud you. The other thing I would probably do, depending on where you want to put it, find a way to attach it to something so somebody can't just pick up the whole box and walk off with it. You could bolt it to a piece of furniture or to the back of a closet or, however,
right.
You figure it out.
That's what I was curious. Do they make them where they basically flush mount in a wall, where you just cut open the sheetrock and mount it to a stud and do it that way?
Actually, there are several that do that. There are even some that look like a circuit breaker panel. You open the door and there's a gun safe with a lock behind it. So that's Console Vault. If you remember the name Console, Console, Console Vault, they make that system, and it's pretty cool, I will tell you.
Okay, and then as far as ammunition, I'm probably getting ahead of myself here. I know I've listened to you quite a bit in the last few years, and I'm going to need to use practice rounds, but then I need to get a good home defense round. What would you suggest for that weapon, whether it's a 357 or a 38?
For 357, what I would do is I would find the lightest 38 special loads you can find for just practice and shoot that way. The main thing is to go get some training, not just in shooting, but in self-defense training, which means shooting and moving, shooting in low light, that kind of thing. But when you're choosing ammo for the 357 for defensive use, the one that pretty much is the standard for everybody is a 125 grain hollow point bullet going fast. Well, if it's in a 357 Magnum, it'll be going fast. That is a very, very effective round. But please, please, please go get some training in self-defense, not in just shooting, but in self-defense use of firearms. And I applaud you. Congratulations on thinking that you need a safe or safe way to store that gun, because you do. We all do. If you're not in direct control of your guns, they need to be put away where others cannot get them. 866-TALK-GUN. Be right back.
Join the Ruger 2 Million Gun Challenge and help donate $4 million to the NRA Institute for Legislative Action. The NRA ILA is committed to preserving the Second Amendment right of all law-abiding individuals to purchase, possess, and use firearms. And Ruger pledges to donate $2 for each new Ruger firearm sold between the 2015 and 2016 NRA annual meetings. Visit Ruger.com/2 million to learn more and support the NRA ILA by buying a new Ruger firearm today.
You're at a gun store and your phone tells you about hot deals. Want to know about special offers? No problem when you have GunDealio, the free app for your smartphone. GunDealio delivers the latest deals on guns, ammo, and extras direct to your phone. Don't overpay for your shooting gear. Get GunDealio. It's free at the App Store and Google Play. Trigger the deals with GunDealio. GunDealio.com.
No matter what gun you have, you want it to hit harder, shoot faster and flatter, and be more accurate. You get all that with the ammunition from Double Tap. Double Tap's experts select the best bullets, then load them to higher velocities while keeping safe pressures. Shoot small groups. Shoot farther. Use custom hunting loads in your handgun or rifle. Even fire 2 projectiles with one shot. DoubleTapAmmo.com. That's DoubleTapAmmo.com.
You got your carry permit, and that's good. But you know you could use more training. Get the DVDs, which have what you need. Springfield Armory presents Concealed Carry 1 and Concealed Carry 2 with Bata Group. Learn specific concealed carry skills from Top Gun fighting trainers. Get trained. Be prepared. This really is life and death. ShopGunTalk.com. That's ShopGunTalk.com.
Who will you trust with your guns and valuables? Liberty Safes are the best built and most secure safes on the planet. They sell more gun safes than any other brand. It's about trust earned through performance. If your Liberty safe is damaged by fire or attempted break-in, they'll send a new safe right to your home. Protection from thieves and fire. Trust the #1 maker of quality gun safes. LibertySafe.com.
Interesting. This one just pops up. Reading, Pennsylvania. Police are investigating a late-night robbery and double shooting at the Latinos Meat Market in Reading. Not what you think, though. The three guys come in, at least one gun, one stun gun, to rob the place. What they didn't count on is that two of the employees had guns and knew how to use them. They pulled their guns out and start shooting these guys. One guy runs away. Two of them were shot. They don't know how many times they were shot. Enough. They're saying right now it looks like a good shoot, self-defense shooting. You know, it's kind of one of those object lessons. If that happened essentially almost every time that somebody went into a store to rob it and they had a gun and they got shot, it could end up being a self-correcting problem. Yeah, by the way, Mike from Moody, Texas called in. He didn't want to be on, but he reminded me. He said, remember Ben Carson, before he entered the race, his Second Amendment stance was basically, it depends on where you live. If you live out in the country, yeah, sure, that's fine. You can have a gun. But if you live in cities and urban areas, well, we ought to take a look at that. Interesting. Constitutional rights based on your zip code. Interesting. Line 3, Gary is with us out of Grants Pass, Oregon. Hey, Gary, sound like you had kind of a tough day. What happened?
Well, I went out I hunt my own property. I've got about a half a section of land, and I was at my back gate, and this guy down the road shot at a bear that was running towards me and missed the bear, hit my gate, which was like 50 feet in front of me. Once he hit iron, I hollered at him, and I dove for cover, and he ran away. So I wish you'd talk a little bit about hunter safety.
Was he on your property?
No, he was on BLM land.
Wow.
But it literally hit. If it would have missed the gate, it probably would have hit me. It was that close.
Well, and as you know, the problem is that, even if you have to take a hunter safety class, it doesn't mean that you're going to necessarily be careful. And some people get really, really excited. And to your point about hunter safety, hey, people, it's just a critter. It's just a deer or an elk or a bear. People sometimes just get so excited they lose situational awareness. They just are not seeing anything else. And I'm trying to think. I can think of nothing that you did or could have or should have done that would have been any different. It's just that this guy wasn't rule number 4. Always be aware of your target and what's behind it. And he wasn't. But what's also interesting is that he just took off.
Yeah, I tracked him for a while, then I lost his footprints. Never heard a car start. And really kind of irritated me because that's, man, when you hit iron, as a hunter, you miss your shot, which happens. But when you hit something loud enough to ring like a 8-inch I-beam gate, man, you need to find out what you hit. You need to step up, not run away.
Yeah, well, as I often say, there is a bell curve in everything. And while we would like to say that all hunters or all gun owners are, the best, well, that's not possible. You can't have the best, everybody in any group be the best. I'm glad that you are safe. I'm at a loss as to say what could have been done differently. And all we can do is put out the word to say, look, if you're out hunting, and look, thank you for your call. If you're out hunting, remember, there's really only one priority. It's kind of like when I tell people when they're going driving, there's only one priority, and that's to get there safe. It's not to get there on time, not to make 14 calls and catch up on all that while you're driving. There's only one priority. That's to get there safe. When you're hunting, there's only one priority, and that's to get home with everybody safe. Everything else is stuff you can fit in. Yes, it'd be nice to get a nice buck. It'd be nice to get your bear. It'd be nice to get your elk. Nice, not essential. Put it in perspective. Put it where it's supposed to be. Take your time. Know what you're shooting at and know what's behind it. Kind of the same stuff they teach in basic hunter safety class that 10-year-olds take. Just being safe, being aware. You know what? It's called being responsible. Couple of things I want to talk about. First of all, there's the Hearing Protection Act that was introduced into Congress, and that is to take the restrictions off of mufflers, gun mufflers, things that make guns safer to shoot. This is a real gun safety thing. And I'm going to ask your help because what we need a whole lot of congressmen to get involved in this one. What this would do would be to remove the $200 tax on suppressors, silencers. As we all know, silencers don't make guns silent, but they do make them quieter, right? What would that do for you? Well, in some things, you're still going to have to wear your hearing protection. If you're shooting hypersonic rifles, 223s, hunting rifles, anything that goes faster than the speed of sound, 1,100 feet per second, that projectile is going to make a loud crack. So you're still going to want to wear hearing protection, but it's going to be quieter. Also, shooting ranges are going to be quieter because people will be using suppressors. That's good for neighbors who are around there who maybe don't care for the noise of shooting ranges. It will make it safer for your hearing, safer for youngsters shooting. It's a great name for a bill, the Hearing Protection Act. Contact your congressman, congresswoman, and ask him or her to support it. I often talk about the bias in the media about guns. Here's a great example from last week. You remember when the drunk woman, well, probably drunk, Oklahoma State University drives into a homecoming parade and kills 4 people, including a 2-year-old? One newspaper puts the story out last Sunday, a week ago, and the headline for this story is, great big type, shooter kills 4, 30 injured. The story starts off, a woman arrested for suspected drunken driving slammed her car into a crowd at Oklahoma State University's homecoming parade Saturday. But the headline says shooter kills 4, 30 injured. A lot of people won't go any further than the headline. How could that happen? It happens because that's the default position for the media. Oh, multiple people got killed, has to be the guns. Facts, don't need them. Probably just a mistake, probably. But the end result is that people come away from that thinking, oh gosh, another mass shooting, when it wasn't. By the way, the real numbers on public mass shootings, the real numbers over the last 20 or 30 years, about 4 a year. 4 a year 20 years ago, maybe 4.2, maybe 4.3 now per year, public mass shootings. Now, the gun ban groups like the Violence Policy Center count anytime anybody gets shot, multiple people get shot, even if it's a gang shooting, even if it's a suicide pact, they count all that as mass shootings. Of course, they're not. We think of mass shootings as public mass shootings. And the FBI has a specific way they count that. About 4 a year. It's pretty constant. So this idea that it's happening all the time, or there's, what are they claiming? 1 per week is what they're saying. It's so silly as to be idiotic. It's nonsense. Now, here's the thing. Talking about the media bias, they quote Violence Policy Center nonsense as fact. They would never quote a release from the NRA that way. Violence Policy Center is a rabidly anti-gun group. Tom Diaz from the Violence Policy Center on this very show said that it would be his dream to ban all guns in America, including the police, if that gives you any idea of where they are. And yet they are quoted as the nonpartisan gun safety group. That bias colors public opinion, and that makes for public policy.